Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming into another video. All right, so the Los Angeles Lakers took care of business last night against the Dallas Mavericks. Luka's revenge game. We didn't have the greatest game, but it was a good one. I think at the most, I can say that LeBron James really kind of carried us as I predicted he would. He always shows up in big games for other people. And if I've learned anything about LeBron, him stepping off of the court the way that he did was just in solidarity with the magnitude of how other people are feeling about the moment. That's what I took from LeBron James stepping off the court, 20 seconds left in the game. He was upset for others, I think. Some may say he was jealous of the energy coming his way, Luka's way, and the shifting of the guard as it pertains to now this being quote-unquote Luka's team and all that. But I just think LeBron James has been through this for, 21 years of having everything be about him. I just can't see him. If anything, he's probably glad somebody else is taking the spotlight for a change. It ain't cute when that's your reality for 21 years of your 40 years of life. 22 years, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't exactly believe that with all of the hate that's come his way and all of the scrutiny that comes his way, that he just continues to crave the spotlight in the way that he's had it his whole life. I don't imagine that's what this is. Too much negativity, undesirable energy has been pointed at him for him to just crave it that way, in my opinion. I don't think so. And far be from me to know the man. There are a lot of people out there who believe that attention is what they should live for. But when you have it in the form that he has it, it ain't always positive. You know, that's what it really comes down to me. So in my mind, I just felt like he was taking into account how he felt about maybe other people's feelings in this situation. Luka the Don and how he had been treated and how this is his moment. You know, and AD, his friend, who he had to go up against his will, more or less. And that's what I think this was. It was against, I don't think LeBron chose this. I don't think LeBron necessarily wanted to see Luka traded away from his only home and all the different things. You know, I don't think he wanted that for those guys. I'm sure he's happy he has an opportunity of winning a championship, but I don't think he wanted to necessarily be on a different team than Anthony Davis at this stage in their careers. Sending Anthony Davis to Dallas where all the fan base is unhappy about Luka, I don't think he wanted that for his friend. And so, me guessing, I'm just guessing, maybe I'm just being the positive, placing positive energy on LeBron when I say this, but I don't think he was upset at anything other than the fact that there were people he cared about unhappy in the situation. And he didn't want to celebrate the moment. It wasn't nothing to celebrate. He just beat his friend, you know what I mean? And his friend was traded away from Los Angeles while they were en route of a championship. The guy they brought here came against his will in a disrespectful form. What do we celebrate? You know what I mean? We didn't necessarily play that great. It's a regular season game. Are we celebrating AD's being hurt over there and us beating him? Like, if I'm LeBron James, I'm not celebrating that. I'm not going to sit up here and just smile and slap hands with everybody like this is something to be so pleased with. Ain't nobody happy with this. Like, you know what I mean? Like, not at all. So that's my point of view on what I thought about LeBron walking off the court. This is Luka's moment. This is Luka's day. Y'all want to talk to Luka? I'm going to get out of here and not try to overshadow him or have anybody perceive me trying to overshadow his energy. Let me just remove myself from the equation. AD, I'll see you probably later on tonight. We'll probably go to dinner anyway. That's probably how that goes usually. Situation like that. I ain't got to slap hands with him or, do anything. It's about Luka. Let Luka have his moment. And let me show everybody that I ain't happy about all this. That's what I took from it. He's not happy about all this. And as he's unhappy, he wants all of us to see him not celebrate AD taking a loss this season. Luka Doncic, won the game, but is Luka really happy about having to go up against the Dallas Mavericks? No. And then you consider, like, if you want to put the negative aspect on it, he did carry the team. You know what I mean? And down the stretch of this basketball game, he had to exert quite a bit of energy in order for us to win the game. And, Luka is getting a lot of that credit. And so I don't know if LeBron probably doesn't resent that, or at least wants us to understand that it is resentable. You know what I mean? So that's one way of looking at it as well. But I just didn't think LeBron was being jealous of Luka or nothing like that. I didn't think it was that type of small energy. I really didn't. I was thinking more so him not wanting AD to see him celebrating a win against AD this season, when AD been carrying us as a team for 6-7 years, just to trade him away like a thief in the night. I just don't think that if you really AD's friend, you're not exactly happy about that at all. And if you really want Luka to feel like you feel him, you're not necessarily happy to see what he had to go through either. So that's what I took from it. But as a fan, I was happy we got the win. It wasn't a pretty win. I was a bit concerned about just how we match up with the Dallas Mavericks when they're healthier or fully healthy. I don't know if they're ever going to be fully healthy, not with Daniel Gafford's knee being as bad as it is. But if they have AD and they have Derek Lively, that presents a problem that we weren't faced with yesterday, that I probably don't think we overcome yesterday either. So that's my point of view. I have my concerns about that. And as I look at this team going forward, I just wonder if it really does simply come down to we're just not quite as talented at the center position as probably necessary to get us over the hump. Because I tell you, AD would have ate good last night. It's incumbent upon LeBron and Luka to shoot well, other players to shoot well. And granted, we had an uncharacteristically bad shooting night, and we did rebound the ball very well to make up for it. I think if we shoot that poorly and they have their centers out there, it's probably going to make it so that we don't have the boards that we need to give ourselves an opportunity to win this game. And so that's what I looked at and saw there. I know there were some people online who were saying, the Lakers simply shot poorly, and this is not an indication that the Lakers can't defend the Dallas Mavericks. But when I dig into the numbers, I just say, okay, we beat them double-digit rebounds. Do you beat them in double-digit rebounds with AD on the floor? Hell no, you don't. Hell no, you don't. You are actually shooting more of jump shots because they're pulling you out of in theory, pulling you away from the paint. So if you're going to have bad shooting nights, you can't win. Or what you're going to have is LeBron James driving it at centers, driving at shot blockers all game long, trying to make the difference up for you not being able to score from the perimeter. It's just we're too jump shot reliant is what I thought I learned last night. We're going to have to make too many damn jump shots. And so that's what I think I take from it. We're going to have to invest in somebody who can get us easy buckets in the paint against good defense, which is why I think the Williams piece from Charlotte probably would have been a good addition to our roster, because he would have been that guy who you could consistently get the ball to and expect for him to connect in the paint. Now, I don't know if he projects to be as good as what I would hope him to be from afar, now that I've learned a lot more about the player since everything went down the way that it did. I don't know if I'm as bullish on him as a player in that way as I was when I wasn't so aware of what he can do and what he can't do. But what I can tell you is him being at a high level, being able to rebound and potentially be able to draw some fouls against ADs and guys like that would have made me feel a lot better about our potential to overcome some of these matchups where I think shot blocking prowess is at a premium. The teams that come to mind, as I've said, Cleveland Cavaliers, OKC Thunder, Minnesota Timberwolves, of whom we're going to see next. Those are the matchups that I don't know that this team is necessarily constructed to dominate in a 7-game series. When you have double and triple shot blockers that you can continuously throw at us and force us to being a jump shooting team, we're reliant upon our jump shooters to hit shots. And while we have some really good ones, that's just not a brand of basketball I think you can win a championship with. I don't think so. And maybe some of LeBron's concerns might have come from some of what he saw in that basketball game too. Because I'm telling you, I saw some like, okay, yes, we shot poorly, But did you notice that we had to shoot? Like, we most of what it is that we now have are shooters. So if Luka ain't hitting shots, Bron ain't hitting shots, Gabe ain't hitting shots, Dodo ain't hitting shots, now you got to hope the other team doesn't have the ability to get easy buckets. And if they have the centers to get those boards and get those offensive rebounds, you potentially have a problem. You know, we gave up 5 offensive rebounds to Klay Thompson yesterday. What the hell are you going to do against Evan Mobley? How does that go when that's Julius Randle? You see what I'm saying? So that's my concern with the Lakers. As long as we run into small ball jump shooting teams or teams that can't really connect very well on their own offensive possessions, I think we'll be fine. But if you find a team that's very good offensively, who can also get stops against the Lakers, those are the teams I think the Lakers are in trouble with. And so the first matchup comes to mind is the Cleveland Cavaliers. I don't think that's a good matchup for how we're constructed right now. I don't think it was a good matchup for either of the constructions of our team, both before we made this trade or after. I don't think so. Because they too damn good offensively. And then on the defensive end, they force you to shoot jumpers. They're going to force you to shoot jumpers. And so on a given night, can we hit those jumpers? Yeah. Maybe 2 out of 7 games, you're probably going to hit jumpers well enough to win. Probably not 4 out of 7, though. Probably not 4 out of 7. And so we'll see if that continues to hold up. I think it could be interesting to see if the Lakers can, continue to be as strong as they are defensively. That way you may be able to get enough stops against these good offensive teams to offset that hypothesis that I have. And you can keep maybe some teams that are likely going to shoot 50% under 40%. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, that makes up the difference from us having to shoot jumpers and make those jumpers consistently in order to compete. And so that's really my point of view. I wonder. It's not overly pessimistic. It's just because we have such a small sample size of who we are. It's one of those situations where I gotta just try to look at the pieces and envision where they struggle, and that is where I think they struggle. So we gotta scrap, and it's gonna require us to get lucky. And I don't know if you can get lucky enough if these problems are gonna be the problems you have. So that's my concern, man. I never claimed to believe that this team was the front runner to win the NBA championship. I think we are a contender, but I think, like most people, we're just a tier under the best teams. We're in there with Memphis, Houston, New York, those type of teams. We're in there with them. I don't know that we're in the OKC, Cleveland, Boston category right now. I don't think so. But I'll tell you this, and I said this many times, I'm not as big of a believer in Boston this year. I don't think their center position is. I think they're a little too small at this point. That's my take. I don't think they're big enough to deal with Cleveland, to deal with OKC. Now that could change depending on how some of their role players who are tall enough playing at a high enough level for which they're NBA champions at this point. So you don't want to rule out solid role players rising their game to the playoffs when they just come off a championship. They very well may. But when it comes down to it, I think the Boston Celtics may be at a disadvantage against a team like Cleveland. And they're still asking Al Horford to play meaningful minutes. I think Cleveland's a little better than Boston this year. I think they have been all year long. And I haven't seen anything in my mind that makes me feel like they're not. And I think OKC could potentially be a problem for the Boston Celtics too. But my problem with OKC is severe because they go on droughts, shooting droughts. They tend to be shot chuckers and brickers. And I don't think you can win a championship with that being your problem. I think OKC caps themselves off as a team that just can't shoot well enough, can't execute well enough to beat some of these teams that are going to connect on every offensive possession. That's my issue. It's the same issue the Lakers had with the Denver Nuggets last year and the year before. Just couldn't execute well enough to defeat these teams. I think that's what OKC's problem is right now. It's currently constructed. I heard someone say if they would have gotten Cam Johnson, it would have helped a lot. They would have made people believe in them a little more. I agree. You just need somebody who's going to be a connective, not a connective piece, but a good executing piece. Somebody who's going to hit big shots consistently down the stretch of basketball games. Here's something I want to say about the Denver Nuggets. A lot of people are looking at the Denver Nuggets after that Laker game and they're saying they have a lot of players that couldn't stretch the floor. Down the stretch, you allow for Russell Westbrook to shoot the ball, Eric Gordon to shoot the ball, and as a result, their team is not going to be able to overcome. They have some of the problems that I just described. There's one player that they had removed from that game that I think specializes in that specific thing, and his name is Julian Strawther. I will not rule out Julian Strawther hitting big three-point shots down the stretch of basketball games like KCP used to do for them. He can do that. And he was a player who was removed from that Laker game with 5 fouls. The way that he's capable of shooting, he can be the difference between that hypothesis having any relevance and it not. And so I'm telling people, I'm not ruling out Denver being able to continue to execute at a high level, because you remove that floor spacer and you got them running Russell Westbrook in his stead, who we know is going to chuck and we know who's going to brick and we know people aren't going to respect out there. You replace that player in that lineup down the stretch of that game with Julian Strawther, and he's hitting shots. Now you got to respect him differently. You can't crowd out Jokic like that if Julian's hitting shots. And you still got Porter, you still got Murray. So while I do think it's a little difficult to see them being as good of an offensive team as they need to be, so long as they're relying upon Christian Brown and Russell Westbrook in the same lineup down the stretch of games, can't win that way. Julian Strawther is a player you can insert into that equation, for which a lot of people aren't considering when looking at that Laker matchup. That wasn't lost upon me at all. That boy can hit a lot of shots down the stretch. He's going to stretch the floor, and in the playoffs, he's probably going to elevate his game. And so I'm still on guard with the Denver Nuggets. I still think they're a very elite contender. I do like what the Lakers are able to do with them, but it's contingent upon the Lakers being able to crowd Jokic that way. And there's two things wrong with that strategy. One, what I just described. The other is how much energy it requires to play that style throughout the course of an entire series against a bruising center like Jokic, who's picking you apart. So for me, I don't know, man. I like the Denver Nuggets to continue to be a legitimate contender in that same tier as the Lakers, as the Rockets. Some of these teams, they require so much to work out in order for them to win, but they can overcome some teams if the things work out. The New York Knicks, those teams are in that tier, in my opinion. And I'm probably leaving one out. So they're a little flawed, but the teams at the top have some flaws too. So, yeah, man, I don't know. There's a part of me that thinks the Cleveland Cavaliers might be the favorite to win the entire championship. Part of me thinks that. Looking at how they've been playing, the way their ball movement works, type of, role player they just picked up in DeAndre Hunter and the level he's able to elevate their game to. The starting lineup, how strong it is, and how good these Ty Jeromes and, Dean Wade, if he's able to come back from injury, and all these different guys that they got that kind of don't have big names but play really well this year and fit their system very well. I wouldn't be surprised if the Cleveland Cavaliers win their second overall championship this year. That wouldn't shock me out, man. Especially since it's the easy East that they're going up against. Donovan Mitchell, a huge playoff performer, already proven playoff performer. Remember what he did against Jamal Murray about 7 years ago? I'm not sure, man. If I had to pick somebody today at random to win the whole thing, it probably is Cleveland Cavaliers, from being honest with you. Shock the world and win another championship. I'd say Cleveland right now. Things could change. Health could change things, but I'd say it'll be them right now. Because I just don't believe in OKC like that. And I don't believe in Boston like that. And I think, like I said, the other teams are just a tier underneath those teams. So it's Cleveland, to me, right now, that if they get the right path, they could hoist Larry O at the end of the season. they're healthy. But I have a hard time believing they're gonna be able to beat the LeBron and Luka if we happen to be the team that sees them. I just think the lights could be a little too bright for that. LeBron going up against the Cleveland Cavaliers and losing an NBA championship? I don't see that happening. I know that's the matchup that I'm concerned with just the same on paper, but then it becomes an oral conversation, and that brings an entirely different view to the situation. Nothing more embarrassing than LeBron James and losing the NBA championship next to Luka Doncic to the damn Cleveland Cavaliers, of whom he's left twice. BDL 44, I thank you all for watching.